As I learned firsthand, Warframe is an awesome game that does a, sadly, really poor job of teaching you how to actually play it. So let me save you a couple of headaches by sharing everything I wish I knew before I first started. And let's begin with a question that plagued my early hours. How do I get a weapon that doesn't suck? And thankfully, the answer is very simple. Quests. Early game quest weapons are usually going to be much stronger than anything you can cobble together with sticks and string. And the reason is again very simple. They come pre-installed with Orokin catalysts. This doubles their mod capacity, which means you can cram in more upgrades. So until you can reliably create catalysts of your own, quest weapons should be your bread and butter. Personally, I am a big fan of the Boltor. It looks cool, it hits hard, has loads of ammo, and you can basically just hold down the trigger and spray down the entire room. I mean, what's not to love? The way Warframe calculates damage is a little bit weird. I won't bore you with the details, but the important thing you need to know is that, much like a sandwich, you want a good spread of ingredients. In the early game, that means using Serration to boost your base damage, slotting in an elemental combo that's effective against whatever faction you're currently fighting, multi-shot because more boom is always more good, though this is a rare mod, and then finally, crit chance and crit damage to really take your DPS to the next level. It will take you a while to collect and upgrade all of these pieces, but honestly, that's fine. Warframe isn't cruel. As long as you're not wandering into missions that have very obvious "you're gonna die here, buddy" kind of signs, these basics will carry you very far. While it eventually becomes common enough that you can use it to prop up a wobbly chair, Endo is annoyingly rare in the early game. And without it, you simply cannot upgrade your mods. So what do? The best way to get started is by doing Maru's weekly Ayaton treasure missions on Mars. She'll send you to find what is essentially a fancy vase that you can then stuff full of Ayaton stars, which will then make it sell for a ton of Endo. And how do you get the stars? They randomly drop from containers, so if you just smash everything you see, and let's be honest, you probably will because breaking stuff is fun, you'll build up a nice supply without even really thinking about it. After that, the Endo farm drops off quite a lot in the early game, so really I wouldn't go out of my way to grind for it. But if you do need a bit extra, multi-stage missions like excavation can get you a decent amount. Oh, and don't forget about all of those duplicate mods piling up in your inventory. Unless you're planning to open a museum dedicated to vitality, you might as well melt them down for a bit of extra Endo. If you find yourself getting slapped around by a boss or some really nasty mission, give melee weapons a try. Their upgrades are much cheaper to max out than some of the rifle ones, which means you can have a really gruesome set of blades surprisingly early. Honestly, just about any melee weapon will do you good, though personally, my favorite is the Zorus, a massive throwing glaive you can get in the Deadlock Protocol quest. Throw it into a group of enemies, trigger its heavy attacks, and it'll create an explosion so massive it'll wipe out all life in the solar system, or at the very least, that room. And if you think that's overreacting, I just want to let you know that even now, 70 hours later, I am still using the weapon. So I would definitely say it has earned my recommendation. As you'll quickly learn the moment you first join an experienced player, Warframe is a game built around speed. So if you don't want to spend every mission frantically looking at the map just wondering where your teammates have gone, you'll need to learn how to move properly. Thankfully, it's actually pretty simple, though it does take a little bit of practice. The bread and butter of movement is sprinting and chaining together bullet jumps by crouching and jumping. This is not only fast, but it can launch you in any direction, so you can use it to scale some ridiculously high ledges. Once you get comfortable with that, you can start trying to bounce off ledges to keep your momentum, sliding around awkward obstacles to avoid losing speed, using aim while airborne to glide further, or Combine all of this with a mobility-focused Warframe like Vault to make yourself move so fast you won't even be able to see what's happening anymore. This will take some time for you to master, but trust me, it is worth the trouble. Not only is it a ton of fun, but it will also save you a ton of time, and that is invaluable. And speaking of Vault, how do you get him, or the other Warframes for that matter? Well, there's a couple of options. The easiest way is to farm assassination bosses like the Jackal on Venus, which drops parts for Rhino. It's a very quick and very easy grind, no longer than 30 minutes, after which you can just buy the blueprint off the market and you are good to go. The second option is to join a guild. Their research labs will let you copy blueprints for all sorts of weapons and warframes, including Vault, which might as well come with a straw hat and a plow given how good he is at farming. The third option unlocks after the Doviri Paradox quest. By completing the weekly circuit, which let's say takes about 3 to 4 runs, you'll be awarded with parts for a brand new Warframe along with a couple of nice mods. And finally, don't forget about the side quests. If you open your codex, you will notice a category literally called Warframe quests. Do those and you'll usually walk away with almost all of the parts needed to make a brand new one. That said, there are other ways to get new Warframes, but honestly, don't worry about that just yet. Between these 4, you'll have enough content to keep yourself busy for well over 100 hours. Getting new weapons is thankfully much simpler. Easiest way is to open your loadout, head into the weapon selection menu, find something that just kinda looks really cool, and then just buy its blueprint. It really is that simple. Then gather the resources needed, leave it cooking overnight, and you'll have a delicious slow roast of a weapon by tomorrow. And just like with Warframes, your guild's dojo is also packed with awesome weapons, including my personal favorite, the Ignis Wraith, an actually realistic flamethrower that has some real range. There is one small catch though. A lot of these dojo weapons require rare crafting materials like detonite injectors. You can get them slowly through missions or even more slowly by crafting them yourself, but honestly, don't bother. The easiest way is to do invasion missions, as they can sometimes offer these exotic materials as free rewards. And finally, don't forget that pretty much every vendor in the game has their own collection of weapons you can buy, as long as you've earned enough reputation. So regardless of what activity you're doing, chances are you're slowly making your way towards another war crime machine. Now isn't that wonderful? And speaking of farming, let's make some space money. The easiest way to earn credits is by running Dark Sector missions. They're usually tucked away off the beaten path, so you might need to unlock a few extra nodes to get there, but it is well worth the trouble. Not only do they pay much higher than regular missions, but they also give you bonus experience and loot. So just find the highest level Dark Sector you can comfortably clear, blast through it a couple of times, and you'll end up with enough credits to ruin the local economy. But if you want a few extra credits without leaving the ship, go through your inventory and sell any duplicate blueprints you might have. For example, you'll probably end up with enough Harrow chassis to cover the absolute entirety of your orbiter. So unless you're really into interior decorating, you might as well cash them in for 5,000 credits a pop. Materials are a bit different. While credit farming, it's all about getting in and out as quickly as possible. But to get the most materials, you want to raise the entire mission to the very ground. Enemies, boxes, lockers, all of it has to go. Once again, Dark Sector missions are your best bet thanks to their resource boost. But this time around you want longer, more involved missions like survival. Spend 5 minutes clearing the map, smashing every crate, breaking every resource node, and enlightening the local population, and by the time extraction rolls around, you'll have a very healthy amount of new resources. Bonus points if you're using a loot-focused Warframe like Necros, whose parts drop on Deimos. he'll make the whole process a lot more efficient by essentially doubling your loot. But Necros or not, don't be afraid of the grind. For most early game weapons, you'll get everything you need in well under 30 minutes, even if you're starting from literal zero. So it's really not that bad, especially since Warframe makes mulching through enemies just so much fun. But why would you go through all this effort to create a bunch of weapons and Warframes you might end up chucking out the airlock a week later? And the answer is mastery. Every weapon and Warframe gives you mastery experience the first time you level it to 30. So constantly swapping gear is the absolute fastest way to level up your account. And why does this matter? Because higher levels of mastery make you stronger, give you more starting mod capacity, unlock extra loadout slots, and, most importantly, let you use progressively more awesome weapons. So much like real life, try to add a bit of variety to your diet. Worst case scenario, you get a bit of mastery. But best case, you accidentally discover a new favorite, like I did with the claw. But how do you actually level all of that gear? Would it surprise you to hear that the answer is, again, dark sectors? Seriously, those missions are a farmer's paradise. Look for high enemy count missions like survival or salvage. Join a public squad and just let it rip. And you'll definitely want teammates for this, because your experience gain will go straight through the roof once there's 4 people blowing up their own horde of enemies. Bonus points if you can find a mission that also drops resources or the parts you're after. That way you can knock 2 birds with 1 grind. Now, I should also mention that there is a very cheesy, honestly borderline cheating way of leveling in the Plains of Eidolon. I'm not going to show you how because, honestly, I find it very distasteful, but I would be a terrible guide if I didn't tell you it exists. So if you really want to level something from 1 to 30 in about 2 minutes, you now know what to Google. Though again, I would advise against it. By doing this, you're basically skipping the fun part, actually using your weapons to blow shit up, which to me just feels self-defeating. But it is a mechanic in game and you can do it, so each their own. If you want to make sure you get the best stuff, make a habit of checking the current alerts and events. Every once in a while, Warframe will run special missions that give honestly amazing rewards like Orokin Catalysts, which double a weapon's mod capacity. And getting this stuff as a beginner will give you a serious leg up. The only problem is that the game is a bit bad at telling you they're actually there. The news panel is often an enormous, nearly illegible wall of text. I mean, just look at this thing. But thankfully, the really valuable alerts and events tend to stick around for a little while, so you don't have to rush like a lunatic to actually complete them. Just get into the habit of checking if there's anything new whenever you log on. Do this for a couple of weeks and you'll be surprised by just how much cool stuff you ended up getting. After a while, you'll start filling out your inventory with all sorts of random junk. You can hoard it and make a Scrooge McDuck style money pit to dive into, or you can just sell it to other players for platinum, the premium currency that lets you buy all sorts of account upgrades. Generally, you'll want to sell prime parts found in void relics as well as duplicates of very powerful mods. As a rule of thumb, if it was a pain in the butt cheeks to acquire, chances are it's probably worth a fair bit. You can check the prices as well as arrange trades through the Warframe Market website. The website doesn't interact with your account in any way, it is just a place to list items, so you don't need to worry about security. It is basically just a bulletin board. So list your items based on the average prices, set yourself as online and in-game, and just wait for someone to contact you. Once you've met, invite them to your dojo, aka clan, or go to theirs and trade on the Trade-O-Matic 3000. It really is as simple as that. As you can see by the fact that this guide turned into a small novel, Warframe is an absolutely massive game. There are dozens of mission types, multiple open worlds, hundreds of weapons, countless warframes, and enough systems to make your head spin. So do yourself a favor and bookmark the wiki. And that is the official one and not the crappy fandom one. Whenever you're confused about how something works, where an item drops, or why some weird interaction made your weapon's damage skyrocket, just look it up. Over the past couple of weeks, I've really come to appreciate just how ridiculously thorough and dedicated the Warframe community is. No matter how obscure the thing may be, someone has already documented literally everything you could ever possibly want to know about it. And honestly, that's kind of incredible. But the final and most important thing I need to teach you is that Warframe is a marathon and not a sprint. I know that sounds like one of those generic pieces of advice you'd find in a fortune cookie, but I genuinely mean it. Warframe is incredibly addictive, and it is very easy to convince yourself that if you just play one more mission, you'll finally have it all. But you won't. Even if you go whole hog, abandon your entire social life, quit your job, and dedicate your entire existence to becoming a space ninja, you're not actually going to get that much further than someone who plays an hour or two in the evening. And I unfortunately know this from experience because I nearly became the World of Warcraft guy from South Park. So trust me when I say, pace yourself. Warframe is a game that's meant to be enjoyed over months, maybe even years. So don't treat it like a job and just allow yourself to slowly discover all of the weird and wonderful things it has to offer. It is so much better that way. And there you have it. I can only hope this guide will save you a few headaches and prevent you from falling down the same holes I did. And if you've got any tips of your own, or if you just want to tell me I'm being a big old dumbass and that there's a much better way of doing something, I would genuinely love to hear it. Because even after 70 hours, I still feel like a beginner. And honestly, that's why Warframe continues to be so much fun for me. I can never really tell what's coming next. So enjoy the journey, and if you have any questions, drop them in the comments and I'll do my best to help you out. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking and subscribing as that really does help me out a lot, and I'll hopefully see you again soon.